Nightside, a Colfax man hospitalized following an encounter with a Spokane County Sheriff's Sergeant. We'll show you the body camera footage that's part of the excessive force investigation.
There's rain in the forecast, but it is taking its time getting here. I'll let you know when you'll need your raincoat in the first alert forecast.
Plus, meet an elk on Whidbey Island who comes with a warning. You're watching 4 News Now, Nightside. New body camera footage is giving us more context about why a Spokane County Sheriff's Sergeant was placed on administrative leave last week. Thank you for staying up with us for Nightside. I'm Kirsten O'Connor. The video we're about to show you contains acts of physical violence and may be disturbing to watch. And because of the sensitivity of what you're about to see, viewer discretion is advised. According to his lawyers, their client, 62-year-old Kevin Hinton, was sitting in his car watching a movie and resting after driving for about 11 hours. That's when he was approached by Sergeant Clay Hilton, who told him he was not allowed to be in the park after hours. In the body camera video, you see Hinton agreeing to leave, but then being stopped by Sergeant Hilton, who asked for his name and ID. When Hinton refused to show his ID, Sergeant Hilton said, quote, "You're going to get hurt," and then Hinton was dragged out of his car, forced on the ground, and hit several times. Now Hinton's lawyers say Sergeant Hilton should face consequences.
We don't want Sergeant Hilton to work another day in law enforcement again. He is a disgrace to the badge and a dishonor to our community. We want him decertified. We want him criminally investigated, and we'd like him to face the same treatment that any other citizen would who committed this type of vicious assault.
That night, Hinton was taken to jail and then the hospital, where he was treated for 8 broken ribs and a punctured lung. His lawyers say the charges against Hinton have been dropped during the investigation. Last week, Sheriff John Knowles released a statement on this incident, saying in part, quote, "Allegations of misconduct by law enforcement are very concerning to our community and myself." He also said the case is being investigated by the Spokane Police Department. Right now, Sergeant Hilton is on administrative leave. New scrutiny of how AI is being used by police days after a federal lawsuit was filed against the Detroit Police Department for their use of facial recognition technology to make arrests. ABC's Stephanie Ramos has the story.
I lost faith in the justice system to know that you could be locked up for something that you've never done.
This morning, law enforcement's reliance on software that uses artificial intelligence for facial recognition increasingly scrutinized amid legal challenges.
We just want to try to put an end to it.
DeKalb County Police providing this body camera footage of the arrest of 28-year-old Randall Reed in Georgia, misidentified as a theft suspect for a crime committed in Louisiana.
I was confused because I have never been to Louisiana.
Reed says he was detained in jail without bond for 6 days, now pursuing legal action against the deputies in the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office after their failure to reveal that the facial recognition technology was the only source linking him to the crime. The ACLU says Reed is among at least 5 black plaintiffs nationwide who have also filed lawsuits against law enforcement, citing wrongful identification by the AI-powered technology.
Disturbingly, it makes more mistakes when trying to identify darker skinned people, black people, other people of color, and women. So you have police relying on flawed and biased technology to make extraordinarily consequential decisions.
Reed's lawsuit stating black individuals are up to 100 times more likely to be misidentified by facial recognition systems than white men. The first lawsuit of its kind emerging from a 2020 incident seen here in this footage, showing 43-year-old Robert Williams being mistakenly identified as a theft suspect and arrested by Detroit police.
I'm like, you gotta at least tell her where you're taking me.
In 2019, Michael Oliver was wrongfully arrested and accused of larceny in a case he says he knew nothing about. And similarly, in February of this year, Portia Woodruff arrested in a suspected carjacking, later released with charges dropped once police realized she was 8 months pregnant and the suspect wasn't.
That was ABC's Stephanie Ramos reporting. If you look at your screen, this is pretty rare, and it looks like it must be sped up. That is a rare sighting of sheep crossing in Othello. The city shared the video of the flock online making its way across State Route 17. Wow, that's a lot of sheep. Pretty much everybody was out today. We had a beautiful Monday and a little bit of rain here and there. Chief Meteorologist Chris Crocker's here with your first alert forecast.
I feel like I'd rather comment about those sheep. I was surprised to see that was in Othello. I thought we were heading over to Scotland there with that video. We did have the clouds move in and stay with us all day, but boy, they have been slow to produce anything other than a rogue sprinkle or two. Here's a look at our radar, and it is very quiet other than a few very light showers moving into the central panhandle right now. Our forecast radar is also keeping things fairly dry until we get into tomorrow morning. And we do have the potential for a little bit of convection, which means if we do get some rain, we could see some heavier precipitation. I don't know that we'll have any rumbles of thunder, but maybe not ruling that out. Here's 7 a.m. with that line of convective showers. So if you do get rained on, it might come down at a pretty good clip. Here's 11 a.m. with more precipitation becoming more widespread, and then that will continue really through most of the day. It is going to be cooler tomorrow. Temperatures for highs today were in the 70s and even 80 degrees in Coeur d'Alene, Pullman, and Lewiston. Cooler and cloudier further to the west. Tomorrow will reverse. It'll be warmer to the west and cooler in North Idaho. Spokane and Coeur d'Alene both dropping dramatically from the 80-degree range of today. Here's a look at your planning forecast for Tuesday. 62 is our average high. We'll be topping out at 57 with that chance of rain throughout the day. Mainly in the afternoon and evening, we'll see some of the more widespread precipitation. I'll have more on that and your 7-day forecast in just a few minutes. Kirsten.
Thank you, Chris.
Well, when the 2023 football schedule came out, Coug fans immediately circled one game. That would be Arizona, the return of their former quarterback, Jayden de Laura. He spent 2 seasons behind centers in Pullman. In 2021, he was the Pac-12 Offensive Freshman of the Year. He then transferred out to Arizona, where he's been the starter ever since. But a few weeks ago, he sustained a lower leg injury, and the freshman Noah Fafita took over from there. And so far, he's provided a spark for the Wildcats offense, throwing for more than 500 yards and 8 touchdowns in the past 2 games as starter. Now, according to reports, it sounds like de Laura may be close to returning, as he was a game-time decision this past weekend against USC, but WSU head coach Jake Dickert is preparing as if either guy is ready to go, but really likes what he's seen from that freshman.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you don't play the young guy. I mean, this guy has been as efficient and effective as anybody in the country the last 2 weeks. I mean, he is operating the offense at a really, really high level. They're similar yet different. Both can really throw the ball. Seven's going to have more off-script plays and do a little bit different things like Cam does, where 11 really operates in the framework of the offense and can really run, but takes off in normal escape patterns, you know, not like what you see Cam do and running around different things. So I think they're both very talented. They both can really throw the ball, and they're both operating, you know, at high levels. So prepare for both of them, but you don't see a drop-off at all with the young kid in there.
Now, if the Cougs can get the win on Saturday afternoon, they'll be 1 game away from bowl eligibility once again, and they could even potentially earn that next week down in Eugene. As it was announced, their game against the Ducks will be on 12:30 right here on KXY ABC. But first things first, got to take care of business for homecoming this week. Kirsten, send it back over to you.
Thank you, Alex. So around here, it's not uncommon to see a deer or maybe a moose hanging out in a park or someone's backyard. We've seen them in ponds even. On Whidbey Island in Puget Sound, there's an elk, and he comes with a warning.
He's the only elk on Whidbey Island.
This picture of the majestic elk soaking in the sun looks like maybe one of those fairy tale books, but this is Bruiser, and he's very real. The wayward elk has been living on Whidbey Island for more than 10 years. Wildlife Officer Ralph Downs says Bruiser is in his annual rut. He's anxious to shed his antlers, and he's alone.
We've seen them be detrimental to yard art, tarps, trees, shrubs, bicycles, a little bit of everything. And unfortunately, most recently, somebody didn't heed his warning, and he did do some damage to an automobile. This time of year, he tends to get a little frustrated because he doesn't have anyone to wrestle with, and he can't find anyone to have as a companion.
Oh, he is warning people to enjoy the sight of Bruiser hanging around, but give him some space this time of year. Downs says Bruiser swam to the island with his herd about 10 years ago, and he stayed while all the others returned to the mainland. A Salish school fights to keep their language alive. That's next on Nightside.
Track live radar on the 4 News Now weather app.
4 News Now is brought to you by Carpet Barn.
ABC's World News Tonight at 4 News Now, when the local story is national news.
When national stories hit home, watch ABC World News Tonight at 5:30.
And 4 News Now at 6. That's what we mean when we say expect more.
This is going to be a lot of fun.
He's got the stars.
Yeah.
The studs.
I don't remember a time in my life I didn't watch his show.
And the unexpected.
I've always thought of you as Dave Jr.
Every hair on my body is standing up right now.
Jimmy Kimmel Live, new weeknights on ABC.
Dear road rivals, you may have 4 wheels, headlights, and a similar build, but our resemblance ends right there. You see, the Camry's been named best-selling car in America. But cheer up, wannabe twinsies. If you try harder, maybe you can catch up. Later, Toyota.
Every new Toyota comes with Toyota Care, our no-cost maintenance plan with roadside assistance. Visit your local Toyota dealer to learn more. Reserve yours at Toyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places.
Honey, that was my brother. Can we bring him dinner tomorrow? He's been having a hard time since his accident.
Of course. I know it's been tough. There's so many costs that his insurance doesn't even cover.
I know. The ramp to his front door, transportation, meal preparation. What if something happens to one of us?
We should plan to sit down soon. We can look through the long-term care benefits that we're earning with WA Cares.
Find out how the WA Cares Fund can help.
We love our house, but lately we've been feeling a little cramped.
So we talked to ICCU about a new home loan. The process was super quick, and we got a really great rate.
We start house hunting tomorrow.
Preferably something with a bigger garage.
Four News Now is brought to you by the Tony Award-winning musical phenomenon Les Miserables.
Thanks for staying up with Nightside. What a gorgeous day we had today. So nice that a famous face was popping some tags doing his song Thrift Shop credit. At Chosen Vintage in Spokane today, you see Macklemore stopped by the store. He was doing some shopping one day before his big show at the arena. I'm sure his fans remember. You don't need me to remind you that Macklemore shot his downtown video right here in Spokane.
And I love that video.
It's a good one.
He seems like a nice boy. There's going to be some Crocker kids at that concert tomorrow night. I'll just be waving from across the street here. Here are 4 things to know about your weather. We could still see a few sprinkles this evening, some rain possible overnight, but more likely it's going to hold off until Tuesday. Much cooler and wetter weather, and there's more rain on the way for Wednesday. Here's our chance of precipitation throughout the day on Tuesday. It is quite low in the morning, but if you do get rained on, again, it's going to be that convective precipitation, so it might come down pretty hard for a short period of time. Then we're up to 70% by 11 o'clock, and oh boy, when you're looking for parking for that Macklemore concert, take a newspaper to put over your head. It's up to 90% at 5, and it's going to stay up at 90% through about 9 o'clock. Here is our chance of precipitation over the next several days. High tomorrow, down to 60% Wednesday. We're going to get a nice break through the first part of the weekend, but the clouds will be increasing on Saturday, and we do have a chance of rain on Sunday. So Saturday might be the day to really focus on those Green Bluff trips or motorcycle rides to look at the foliage. Tuesday, the forecast rain through 9 o'clock. You can see the heavier precipitation is definitely going to be from the Palouse up through the central panhandle and into the Sandpoint area. It'll be quite a bit drier on the west side of the Idaho-Washington border. There's our nice break on Friday. Saturday, we're going to be in the mid-60s, actually a little above average, and then the showers return Sunday through Monday. I'm looking out 8 to 14 days in just a few minutes. Kirsten.
Thank you, Chris. Since 2016, Spokane has celebrated the holiday observed as Columbus Day in the U.S. as Indigenous Peoples Day. Owner of Spokane's Indigenous Eats, Jenny Slagle, says for her, today is all about celebrating the Native Americans in our community through art, business, activism, and more.
Definitely helps showcase that Native Americans are still here, that we are not just a part of history.
Indigenous Eats celebrates Native American culture through food, art, and monthly networking events. And during National Indigenous Peoples Day, the Salish School of Spokane is fighting to keep the Native language alive. Inside the school, they look just like a typical classroom with cubbies, hand wash stations, and lots of books. But for 13 years, the school has specialized in intertwining the several thousand-year-old language with everyday subjects. So teachers are looking at about 30 kids in their classroom, helping them along with 60 parents to help build that language with the families.
Their parents.
Our language is severely endangered, and so what that means is that there aren't any young children being brought up in the language, and so that's what we're trying to change. Personally, my end goal is to have a family raise their child in the language.
Wiley says her ultimate goal is to see kids raised in the language and have Salish be their first language. There are some political newcomers in the race to serve on the Medical Lake School Board. One of the Medical Lake Community Church congregation members is running for District 3 against the current director. Both disagree when it comes to student mental health, discipline within schools, and support of the LGBTQ+ community in schools.
Science says that there's male and female, and instead we've brought a social construct and an ideology in where, you know, it has its place somewhere, but not in K through 12. That again should be a learning place.
His opponent has differing views.
First and foremost, it's a state law, state and federal law, and it's important because kids and people are who they are, and I morally think it's wrong to not support people who are different than myself.
Parsons, who you just heard from, says she would compare what's happening with the 3 congregation members to what happened in the West Bonner School District. She says it tears communities apart. The Medical Lake community will vote on the school board in November. Washington Kaiser Permanente healthcare workers will soon vote on whether to join the next national strike starting November 1st. Union Kaiser workers in Washington did not join in on the largest healthcare walkout last week because their contracts expire at the end of October. Union and member leaders have been negotiating with Kaiser since August, fighting for a stronger contract, protecting both workers and patients. Results of a strike authorization vote will be announced this Friday. Just days after being hit with vandalism, another attack on Odyssey Youth Movement, and this time it was worse. We'll tell you more on Nightside next.
Stream 4 News Now on your TV for free with the KXLY Plus app.
What you see is important. That makes quality eye care important too. Get personalized care from experienced optometrists at Shopko Optical. Better eye care. You'll see. Don't need glasses? See us for your contacts and save on your annual supply.
Did you know Idaho high school seniors graduating next spring are eligible for up to $8,000 in grant money for career training and education through Idaho Launch? Funds can be used to cover the cost of apprenticeships, job training, community college, and university programs that lead to in-demand careers. Funds are limited. Apply today. Students choose their own path, and Idaho Launch helps pay for it. Idaho Launch, support in every direction.
I had a lot of bad days with gout, but that one took the wedding cake. Even with medicine, my uric acid was still too high to stop painful gout buildup. Then a gout specialist told me about Cristexa.
Cristexa is a prescription medicine for adults with gout whose symptoms are not controlled by other gout medicines.
I learned Cristexa quickly starts working to break down gout buildup.
Cristexa is an infused medicine. Serious life-threatening allergic reactions can occur while taking Cristexa. Tell your doctor right away if you have symptoms such as shortness of breath, trouble breathing, dizziness, itching, or swelling of the throat or tongue. Cristexa is not recommended if you have high levels of uric acid without a history of gout. Do not take Cristexa if you have a rare disorder called G6PD deficiency or favism. Before receiving Cristexa, tell your doctor if you have a history of heart problems and all the medicines you take. Cristexa may cause gout flare-ups, allergic reactions, nausea, bruising, sore throat, constipation, chest pain, and vomiting.
I received Cristexa for about 6 months. Now I'm in control, not gout.
Find a doctor who specializes in gout at goutdocnow.com.
What you see is important. That makes quality eye care important too. Get personalized care from experienced optometrists at Shopko Optical. Better eye care. You'll see. Schedule your comprehensive eye exam at shopko.com or bring in your outside prescription.
Almost 80 degrees today in Spokane. We did hit 81 yesterday. Today's record is 81, set back in 1934. Let's take a look at our temperature trend over the next 7 days. This black line is our average high, and that is continuing to drop very rapidly. We'll be a little bit below average for the next 3 days, and then a little bit above average for the rest of the forecast, back up in the 60s as our temperature average keeps dipping into the 50s. Now, as we take a look at October 17th through the 23rd, that's that 8 to 14 day forecast. We're in a pretty dark red here, indicating a very strong signal of above average temperatures for that time period. But we also have a little bit of light green, indicating a chance of above average precipitation. As long as we get some bright blue skies to enjoy our fall foliage in between the showers, I guess that's not so bad, including this photo right here of our fall foliage. This is from Deb Austin. She captured this image on Spokane South Hill, looking toward Ferris High School with, the bright blue skies and the light behind it. And I love this green in the foreground. She captured this image from her deck. Pretty.
Yes. The orange is not as easy to find, I've noticed. I can find yellow and red, but that spectacular orange, that one's rare.
Wait until the trees start going across the street at the convention center, or not the convention center, but the Spokane Veterans Memorial Arena. They have orange. We'll go look.
Okay, perfect.
I will sound the alarm.
I need as many pictures as I can get to send to the people in Florida who have no seasons.
No.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chris. Well, right after being hit by vandalism Thursday night, Odyssey Youth Movement was hit again over the weekend. Spray-painted hate speech on the center's doors and windows, knocking over displays, burning tire marks into the rainbow crosswalk. Just last Thursday, paint covered that same rainbow crosswalk, as well as the crosswalk downtown. And a queer-owned clothing store also had its window smashed. Despite these continued attacks, Odyssey Youth Movement says it is dedicated to remaining open as a safe space and a resource for queer youth, and is asking the community to step in if they see something.
Connect in better with our support networks and our community, and ask as we continue to do so that if anybody sees anything or hears anything, that you do respond, you do call crime check.
Spokane police are investigating all of these incidents. Police cannot say at this time if this will be investigated as a hate crime. Around the Northwest, is the latest bird flu a risk to humans? That's the question the University of Washington Schools of Medicine and Public Health is asking, since several harbor seals recently tested positive for a strain in Puget Sound. In this video, an interview courtesy of UW Medicine, Dr. Peter Rabinowitz, a professor with the university, says Although the chances are low that a person in Washington state would become infected, it's still smart to take precautions.
It's really an unprecedented outbreak. The number of countries involved, the number of different types of animals involved, both birds and mammals, is something we've absolutely never seen before.
The initial H5N1 virus was identified in domestic birds in 1996. Outbreaks of bird flu have become much more frequent since the discovery, and slowing them is an important but complicated health challenge that involves your pets.
I'd say be careful with your pets. Be careful about them having contact with sick or dead wildlife, just the same as you should take care and have precautions about that.
The Washington State Department of Health reports that this strain of the avian flu has been circulating in the U.S. in wild birds since January of 2022. Conference realignment talks never seem to stop. Coming up in sports, Alex Crescenti has more on the latest rumors coming out of the Gonzaga campus and if they're real this time.
Sign up for breaking news alerts with the 4 News Now app.
4 News Now is brought to you by the Furniture Doctors.
Are you ready to make some history?
There's hope that I have someone that I can enjoy the rest of my life.
There's not many men like you.
Everybody is excited to hopefully fall in love.
There could come a day that we look back and we go, that's where it all started.
Arby's, 2 for $7 every day. Yee! Classic beef and cheddar hard. 2 of those things for just $7. Arby's, we have the meat.
Spokane's hottest music.
Break me for so done with you, girl. I've been popping, man, I feel just like a rock star.
Hot 96.9.
Don't shop in the cold. R&R RV in North Spokane has over 120 RVs indoors at 525 East Francis. Right now, save thousands with huge year-end discounts and clearance pricing. The time to buy is now. Don't shop in the cold. Shop over 120 RVs indoors. Motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, all indoors at R&R RV in North Spokane, 525 East Francis, or online at rnrrv.com.
It was in August, fires raged through our area. This one, the Gray Fire in Medical Lake. Homes destroyed, trees destroyed along with it. They've got to come down and get moved out for the rebuild. We're here in mid-October to help move them. The 4 News Now Extreme Team, brought to you by and with volunteers from Horizon Credit Union.
Arby's, 2 for $7 every day. Arby's crispy classic chicken sandwich. 2 of those things for just $7. Arby's, we have the meat.
Well, conference realignment has been a popular topic of discussion across college sports. Spokane is no exception. According to college basketball insider Seth Davis, the Big 12 has resumed talks with the Gonzaga about potentially joining the conference as soon as next year. Reports say this would include all sports, not just the men's and women's basketball teams. The Big 12 has already added 4 Pac-12 schools over the last few months. Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and Arizona State are all headed there next year. Houston and former WCC opponent BYU also joined the Big 12 this past season. Now, the conference began conversations with Gonzaga over the last several months, but with in part of the league's plan to expand and add value to arguably the top college basketball conference in the country.
I think that we're going to be happy with whatever scenario our administration, Chris Staniford, and our board and president and everybody figures out is best for us. There are some parts, some implications of staying and going, and I'm aware of those. But right now, I'm trying my best to do. Unless they ask me, which they don't usually, I'm just trying to do my best to coach these guys the best I can and recruit players that want to be at Gonzaga, regardless of where Gonzaga might fall as far as conferences go.
Now, of course, TV revenue distribution could be a determining factor in Gonzaga's decision to either stay or leave the WCC. Now, a team that's had enough of this conference realignment talks is Washington State, as it seems like every rumor out there still includes them on the outside looking in of major college athletics moving forward, but they can't get wrapped up in those conversations right now. The Cougars are coming off a tough loss down in Los Angeles this past weekend, where their offense was just simply dominated by the front seven of UCLA. And after we've been so accustomed to seeing them just move down the field without much of just nothing to stop them, they only managed 216 yards of offense all day in their 25-17 defeat. Now, the task doesn't get any easier as they'll welcome in an upstart Arizona team that head coach Jake Dicker calls one of the more improved teams in the conference.
I think this is a very talented team. I think they're playing the game the right way, and they are vastly improved, I think, in all three phases of the game, especially at the line of scrimmage. I think their offensive front on offensive line is playing at a really, really efficient to effective level, and I think their defensive front is creating a lot of different type of havocs that are allowing them to play in a lot of these football games. So I think the challenge is real. I think they're an explosive team, and the best part is now this one's back here at home, and we got to protect the den, and we got to be able to bounce back and respond. And it'll be about us this week and having a great Tuesday practice and really setting the table for the focus of what we need to do better.
Kickoff between the Cougs and Wildcats is set for 4 on Saturday afternoon. Make sure to follow along with Julian Minnesota and myself. We'll be live from Martin Stadium. We got you covered there all day long. And Washington State hasn't had too many allies in the conference realignment talk, but one of those includes UCLA head coach Chip Kelly. Now, he's had plenty of battles against Washington State over the years between his time with the Bruins and before that Oregon. And after his game on Saturday, he showed the support for their seat at the table.
I mean, I think it's a travesty that Washington State's not in the conference. That to me is a joke. That's a really, really good football team in a school that's had a bunch of tradition. And it's the same thing with Oregon State. The fact that those two schools aren't in a Power 5 conference or won't be in a Power 5 conference next year is so that people should figure it out. There's a lot of really smart people in college athletics, but if we let those two schools not end up in a Power 5, then shame on us. That's just not right.
Now, obviously, Kelly and the Bruins are going to be headed off to the Big Ten next year, so their seat at the table, it's safe. As for the Cougs, it'll be a waiting game with all the legal battles that continue with the Pac-12. We'll be right back.
Stream 4 News Now on your TV for free with the KXLY Plus app. At 4 News Now, we believe you should expect more from local news. Our team is committed to a community conversation and bringing you information you need when and where you need it. Numerica believes in and supports that mission.
What I want people to know about Numerica's involvement is that it's genuine.
I work at a company that supports the community because we're a part of it.
It's important to give back to the community you live in. We are truly here to help, and we're passionate about it.
With Chevy Silverado and Silverado HD, you can take on the mountains, or you can move them. With the power of up to 36,000 pounds of max available towing and the confidence of an available 13.4-inch diagonal touchscreen. Whatever your mountain, there's a Silverado for you. Get 0% financing, plus make no monthly payments for 90 days on all 2023 Silverado 1500 pickups. Plus, get $1,000 cash allowance on this Silverado. See your hometown Chevy dealer today.
Spokane's homeless plan is not working. In the last 6 years, Spokane's homeless rate has nearly doubled, while the U.S. rate barely increased. And while many unhoused persons genuinely need a helping hand, others have accelerated Spokane's problems of crime and open drug use. Similar-sized U.S. cities don't have these problems, but Spokane became home to the largest homeless camp in the state of Washington. Why Spokane? Hear the answer at curingspokane.com.
Since I was 14, I have been addicted to one substance or another. I know that it may seem hard to finally take that first step, but once you do, it's like running down a mountain and everything snowballs, and the Lord works in the best ways, opening doors for you that you never thought possible. Just reach out your hand. Someone will be there to take it.
See breaking news in your area or have a story idea? Contact 4 News Now.
Your 7-day forecast includes some rain for the next couple of days and then good timing to dry out and warm up. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, looking nice.
Yeah, we're just sandwiched there nicely, and like you said, no frost so far.
No, that should make my flowers are still doing their thing. It's a really pretty time of year.
Yeah, it's perfect. Orange leaves.
So will we get our first snow? Can I say that before Thanksgiving?
No.
I can't say that?
Average, it's a few, let's say election day.
Ooh,
get a little bit of dusting.
I'll bet on
Asking
that.
the tough questions. I like it.